got more gentle touch.
No, I think there's still a couple more people that are making their way across.
It's a job, isn't it?
Quick wraps,
My ears are all built. You never get tired of That's true. I've only got one from.
Can I do what it looks like? Yeah, it looks
because it changes colour. It starts off that colour and it fades. Series is much smaller. Well, Tinky Winky. You tell them it's like well, we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's finished their class, so here we are. Thank you for staying on and listening to me waffle on. I'm Kate Durr, and I recently qualified from the Cotswold Garden School, where I did a diploma in professional garden design. That was 2015. But during that time, I was rather rashly encouraged by the principal, Caroline, who you heard talk earlier, to enter a show garden design at Malvern. And I duly accepted this challenge, even though I was still on my course and didn't quite know the terror that would possess me going forward. So, let's keep them on the side. So, Malvern, 2015. I had to set about transforming this small, rather unprepossessing sort of piece of mud in the windy valley beneath the Malvern Hills into this, which was somewhat of a challenge, as I really didn't know what I was doing, and it's the first time I've ever done a show garden, and yeah, steep learning curve, shall we say. So, the Cotswold Gardening School, as I say, right in the middle of a course, having done 10 years of childcare, raising my kids, and as I say, the added mix into the crazy time full of homework and SketchUp and technical drawing was the Malvern Spring Festival. But I went along to an RHS seminar, which is run by them every year in November time, and once you put an application in, you might get accepted. They give you some tips and wrinkles. They invite professional designers to come along and speak to you, and you furiously made notes. Now, in listening to that seminar, I knew that you had to give your garden a backdrop and enclose it with boundaries as much as possible, because you really don't want the gents' toilets featuring as your backdrop, and the BBC aren't going to want to film your garden if all they can see is guys coming up sitting there. Include seating. This is something Caroline impressed upon me. You want somewhere for Monty Don, as she said earlier, to park his pretty derriere when he's giving a wonderful piece to camera about your garden, because of course you're going to get it on Gardener's World. You've got to give it the wow factor. I come from a showbiz background. I've done a lot of television presenting, so I understood that. Really, a show garden is a perfect vignette that you're creating that stands alone, a little sort of corner of Eden, if you will. And don't forget, it's all about the plants. Something that I was very keen to to really push was the fact it was all about the plants. I didn't want to get hung up too much on fancy sculptures and hard landscaping, important as they are. I really wanted to concentrate on the plants. So, showbiz background, very keen on creating that vignette. So I looked to theatre design, because that's what it's all about, to create that self-contained little moment of perfection. And I looked through a lot of Royal Shakespeare Company productions, and a lot of the Shakespeare sets really resonated with me, particularly Midsummer Night's Dream. This is what this is. I love the idea that you're almost using flats to create a garden, and I love this rusty colour. Also this, it's a completely different set, but it just works very well. Those vertical lines, this rusty colour came up again. I started to look more and more at theatre design. And that's when I came up with the idea of using these panels. This is a very fabulous man called Neil Lossock, a blacksmith, and he exhibited at the Autumn Malvern show, and that's why I fell in love with these fern panels. He plasma cuts the shape of king ferns and then pulls them and teases them away to create this 3D kind of effect. And this is before they've gone rusty. That's what they look like, and then he paints them with brick acid or occasionally peas on them. That seems to work quite well. So you keep them wet and give them something acidic, then they'll come up gorgeous and rusty. More of those. And you can see I've started, oops, jumped ahead, and I'll go back, previous, and can I roll down? No, is it that one? Don't know. Anyway, we're stuck on it. So, yes, mood boards. Caroline's talked a lot about those. I am her, very much her little student, and I followed her advice very much about creating mood boards to work out what I was doing. This was my master plan. Very simple, for good reason. I was a student, and I was very scared of doing something very complicated, and also Malvern told us, keep it simple, keep it simple. You have to be able to create this in 3 weeks. There's very little digging you can do down because it's like rock at Malvern, and also digging is expensive, excavation is expensive. So as you can see, taking from that theatre idea, I've got the flats, the wings coming in. There's a backdrop of those screens here. I've employed a water reel to reflect those screens. The whole idea is this perfect vignette. Plus, it's very symmetrical and neat. I wanted there to be a very large contrast between the symmetrical nature and the linear nature of the design and the exuberant, frothy planting. So I called it constraining nature, because that's essentially what we do when we create a garden. We clip, we prune, we weed selectively, we try to constrain nature. We don't necessarily always succeed, but we have a jolly good time trying. So here you can see, final master plan, with those rusty screens, clipped elements, rusty rill, and also added into the scary mix that was now becoming this fast-moving train that I couldn't get off, was the UCare tulip. UCare is a urological cancer charity, and they wanted to launch their emblem, which is a pink tulip, at Malvern, and I was very graciously offered the job of launching it on my garden. So I hadn't planned to use candy pink tulips in my planting plan, but I thought it was quite a good opportunity, so I went with it. So that's where I got to, and this was my SketchUp model. This is the first time I ever tried to do SketchUp, and I remember this well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, sat alone, typing and trying to rotate trees. But it's such a wonderful tool, works brilliantly for kind of really showing someone how you think it's going to look. So I was beginning to get ideas about planting and where things might go. I knew my trees were going to be Amelanchias. So beginning at this stage now to think about plants. This is in February and the show is in May. So another drawing there to illustrate how it might seem. There's me with the pink tulips, smiling for the cameras. It's going to be fine, it's going to be wonderful. I also had to choose things that were going to make up the hard landscaping, and I wanted benches that would look fabulous. And I came across Alison Crowther, who made incredible hand-carved oak benches for Arnie Maynard in Chelsea 2012. And Alison was an absolute star and invited me to go down to her studio down in Sussex and choose pieces, because she was very keen to support a student, which was very, very exciting. Now, plants. Hortus loci. I wanted to go to somewhere that I knew was used to show gardens, and boy do they know what they're doing there. So, terrified of going on to my first meeting, I bought a tray of Krispy Kreme donuts, put on my lucky pants, and walked through the door and met this team. This is my husband, who came along to hold my hand because I was so terrified. This is Mark and Michael and Robin. They are the daddies of Hortus Loci, and they were extraordinarily helpful. Now, I point this out not to be in any way disloyal to Wyevale, but this was my first experience of going to a big nursery, and it was a very valuable lesson. They were great, and they taught me through my little design. We spent about 3 or 4 hours, inch by inch, centimetre by centimetre, discussing the kind of plants we could use. This is the Chelsea tunnel at Hortus. And what's so great about Malvern being in the beginning of May is that if anything they have that's lurking in the Chelsea tunnel goes over too soon, you can snaffle it up for Malvern. So it was quite awe-inspiring wandering through here, seeing names like Cleve West, Matthew Keatley, thinking, my gosh, I'm in this cathedral of perfection. There is Matt Keatley. He was there planting up little succulents into his granite towers that he used in his centre barley garden. And God bless him, when I went to Chelsea, he invited me on his garden, which was thrilling to go and actually see it in the flesh. So back to Hortus. There's me choosing trees with Mark and actually putting my name on a tree. Cape Durham, Oranges, Malvern, it's really happening. The tension is rising now because I've got to pull this off. So, back to the actual day, breaking ground, there we are, posing for the cameras, full of enthusiasm, exciting, and there we are, being silly on our little plot, thinking how the hell it's so small and I've got to make it wonderful. Here we go, more of the same, and I can bore you, well, till next week with shots of digging and spraying out and all the rest of it. Here we are putting these wonderful panels in, instant gardening, I love that, instant backdrop. We're starting to get the hedging in, which look really, really scary. This is 2 weeks to go and there's no leaves on that one, willing it on, lots of watering, lots of talking to plants, lots of trees being delivered. Here we go. So, time goes on, I'm still searching for plants because I haven't got everything I want from Hortus, because obviously unlike some of the big show gardens in Chelsea, I haven't been planning this for 2 years, it's a matter of months and sometimes weeks. I haven't got the £350,000 budget that some of those show gardens on Main Avenue have in Chelsea. It's all a kid bollock scramble. Caroline recommends me to go to Wyevale up the road. Up the road, it's still an hour and a half probably from Malvern Showground, but I went because I was still searching for hostas, hellebores, tolema, Solomon's seal, all manner of things I still had in mind, because right behind this rill and in front of this backdrop I wanted a purely green, shady planting area, which was going to be a marked contrast to the planting we were going to have further down here, which was all about fire, pinky tulips, burnished orange and bright zingy jewel colours. And I still wasn't quite happy with the plants I had in mind there from Hortus. Well, what an incredible discovery it was coming to Wyevale. Amazing. You can see at this stage all the flowers are out on my Amelanchier, which means that by the time judging happens they'll all be gone over. Luckily, it's such a fantastic tree, it gives you year-round interest. So you go from pale blossom in early spring, then bronzy new leaves that give you amazing colour, which tone beautifully with my screen, and then they phase into green in the summer, and in the winter you have an amazing silhouette that lasts throughout the winter months. So, I'm panicking about blossom. Meanwhile, all of this is going on, hard landscaping. It comes to plant delivery day. Now this stage I have been to Wyevale and I've spent 3.5 hours with Adrian going around hand picking plants. He was so excited that a designer had come and actually wanted to spend that level of time. We got locked in because we took so long to go through and hand choose things. And the great thing about Adrian is he's so passionate about his job. He was so interested in designers sharing their vision with him, and he was so helpful and gave me so much advice about which plants we should choose, particularly because he has an interest in bulb plants and shady, damp planting. He's really thrilled and turned on by that. So we had a great time. So this is plant delivery day. I just have to work out how I'm going to click on this. And as you can see from this little clip, I'm actually quite excited.
Plant delivery day, which is very exciting, but also a little bit stressful. One of the common problems show designers experience at this time of year, early on in the spring, is finding plants that give us height for our designs. I think I've been lucky in sourcing this beautiful salvia, Salvia sylvestris tanzarine, in about a week and a half through this centre, almost bright fuchsia pink, and clear orange pollen on those stamens. It's a wonderful plant. It's a bit of a daring colour combination, but I'm hoping the judges will recognise the risk I've taken.
So it was a bit windy. As you can well hear. And that's why we've got all these windscreens all the way around. It was insanely windy. And there are all the plants. That's what it looked like after I'd unloaded the Dutch trolleys, and I had to try and make sense of that. Now, I didn't have a planting plan per se. Bear in mind, at this stage of my course at Cotswold Gardening School, I hadn't even done a planting plan, so I was learning on the hoof. But I had identified areas which I knew were going to be green, with hostas and Solomon seal. I knew these tree peonies were going to be stars of the show, and they had their place. But everything else was on the wing, and I've since learned actually sometimes that's quite a good way to work with show gardens, because you can never guarantee the plant that you're hanging everything on will be available. It might get eaten by something, it might fail, it might break, so it's always good to be flexible. And you know, living by the seat of your pants is a little bit stressful, but if you can remain calm and substitute something, you're halfway there. So this is me just trying to arrange everything, get it together. We had lots of fennel to give us a frothy feel. Of course, those tulips were due to arrive, and I hadn't even got those into the equation yet. They arrived at the last minute because I didn't want anything to destroy them. I mean, we literally had to put them in at the 11th hour. Ferns again. Lots of ferns from Wyevale, incredible choice of ferns here, and as we saw at Chelsea this year, it's a really strong trend coming through for ferns. And this little ginger, Azara, isn't it? That's it, Azara Europeum, I think it's called. Fabulous thing, because it's so glossy and green and great. It makes such a contrast and just sits there quietly doing its thing. So you can see it's beginning to come together, this wonderful euphorbia, a great foil for this incredible tree peony, great rusty planting. And I'm beginning to put this shade palette together back here with grasses. And we're getting there now, we're just doing the turfing, everything's going to be perfect, sort it all out. You can see the rusty corn edges I've employed to echo the rusty steel here. Again, constraining all this planting, constraining nature. This is some Erisium that I nicked from Matthew Keatley's Chelsea tunnel. He doesn't really know about that, keep quiet. But actually it didn't work. I decided I didn't want that pop of orange there, it was just too strong. But there's the tulips, they've finally gone in. They were very pink. This grass kind of knocked them back and made a sort of fringe curtain in front of them, which helped just knock that pink and blend it through a little bit more. And you can see the Solomon seal, the ferns, the hellebores, which are an 11th hour addition on a dash to Wyevale, because I knew I needed something more, and they were the star of the show. They really did work well. Design principles, obviously always employing these. Listening to Caroline, making those notes. Contrast of form, texture, colour and shape. That's what we live by. It's all about contrast. Avoid the smorgasborder. That's something I'm always remembering. That's what I used to do before I started training, was to have a random collection of lovely things that I adored because I love plants, but it doesn't work in terms of making a smooth, melodic flow through a border. Add structure. My God, that was difficult in early May. Nothing was tall, everything was short, being a cold spring. But we managed it with that Vibascum, and also the Vibascum Violetta, that added fingers of colour and tall, and focal points. Now this is that shade planting which I was so pleased with in the end, but I knew what I wanted to achieve, but it was a struggle to get there. But these Hosta halcyon, amazing quality hostas. When we were working with Highgrove, I was trying to find hostas. The Prince has the Royal Collection, the National Collection of hostas in the UK. So they're a big thing at Highgrove in the Stumpery. Big, strong theme hostas. Remarkably untouched by slugs. Maybe they're too in awe that they're in the Royal Garden. So I knew I needed to have some for the Highgrove Festival I worked on earlier this year. Could I find hostas? Searched the country, phone calls everywhere. Nobody had hostas that were doing anything other than that little lovely spear coming up. Couldn't find them anywhere. I came to Wyevale to look for other things. I've given up on hostas at this stage. Walked into a tunnel, and there were the most prized hostas you've ever seen. This size, huge, perfect. I sort of nearly fainted at these gorgeous hostas, and I said, oh my God, I must have Adrian. They're perfect for Highgrove, I need those hostas. So he made a quick phone call and said, oh no, sorry Kate, they're sold, you can't have them. my quick retort was, well, who do I have to give a blowjob to get some hostas around here? Needless to say, everyone went bright red. I didn't actually have to perform any sexual favours, but I did get my hostas. Colin was very embarrassed, but he gave me my hostas. So, Wyevale for hostas and blowjobs. No, I'm joking. So Wyevale, hostas, incredible plants, real star numbers. And alongside we've got some Gelinia, we've got these beautiful Retusia ferns, we've got Epimediums, we've got Lima, and again these hellebores. These were from Wyevale. Incredible. I think it's winter moonbeam. Gorgeous marbling on them. And what was so exciting for me about this bit of planting, which I love doing, was that the judges afterwards were saying to me that they took lots of photographs of this because they figured that was pretty much gold standard for shade planting, which is a newbie was amazing praise indeed. I was very excited about that. And you can see how it reflects off this incredibly dark water. That's Diafix, beloved of so many garden designers. Lovely tree peony here, pink buds just emerging. I almost like it before they've opened. I think they look quite sexy. And there's those oak cubes by Alison Crowther, those wonderful little cubes that she let me borrow. Took Evan's pictures. I was very excited about this. A Comiclea there, being frothy in the middle, and there's that little Azarum at the bottom, poking through. Lots of that. Tulips, there they were. That's how they arrived, just as we had a hailstorm. Art show garden's great fun. And I needed all of that because that's how I spend most of my nights, coming back after planting for hours and hours. But they got in along with Wyevale there and the Bressingham purple Polemonium, which was a lovely thing. And that's near the end. We put on our sort of barriers up of rusty chains, Vibascum violetta. There's Vibascum clementine I was waxing lyrical about in that windy VT. I think this is Red Zinger, this iris. That was a winner as well. More pictures. I took endless pictures, ever knowing that this was going to be taken down and struck, and there it is. We'll whisk through these quickly. It was a rusty thing. So comes judging day. Kept a photograph of this because I thought if I lose this piece of paper I shall regret it. This is what they give you, the judges, and they were very, very complimentary, which was thrilling to hear. And they said, well, even some of the Chelsea designers get so many ticks in the excellent column. I got 2 ticks here, one for planting implementation, quality, health and density, and plant association, relevant species culture. And you got a very good, and I know why that is. I had those irises in, and obviously you have to show your rhizomes of your irises as you plant them in the garden so they bake and can get hot in the summer, otherwise they won't flower. But there was too much of a gap around the base of one of these rhizomes, and I kept looking, seeing earth and panicking, thinking I can't show any earth, I've got to put something in there. Sage, that's good, hot, dry, baked, fertile bit of sage in there like that. Unfortunately it covered a little bit too much of the rhizome and they all picked up on it, so that's why in this column I've got a very good but not an excellent. From Stephen Woodman's, he told me that's what that was all about. But nevertheless, I got a gold medal and best festival garden, which was absolutely thrilling, an amazing experience. I learned so much. There I am getting crystal vases from bigwigs from the RHS and all lots of pictures of this. Various glamorous people came to sit on my little garden. Those seats worked a treat. There's James Alexander Sinclair, Raymond Blanc and I drinking champagne. Oh, look at that. We had to get them as well. They came to celebrate. Nice footwear. Yes, also footwear from Holman. Because they really were such an integral part of the whole experience. I could not have done it without them, and certainly not without Adrian's patience, without being locked in and talking through my plant choices and hand-picking them literally. He was an amazing support, and I'm very excited too to be part of it. They were superb. So there we are, this is the thrills afterwards. That's me and my family. They finally got to see me after the last 6 weeks. They actually came up and saw Mummy do her thing. So we come to the end, no, nearly we do. So this is the final photograph I have of my garden, because I'm going back a bit. I can't go back, yes I can do that, because come the end of the week,
well, it's Sunday evening and it's the end of RHS Golden Spring Festival. I've had the most terrific week, not only winning my first ever RHS Gold Medal, but best festival garden. I couldn't be happier. As a rookie, my first ever show garden to have done done so well is simply fantastic. But now comes the moment I've been dreading. It's dismantling time. We've got to take this all down. My garden has to be raised to the ground by 5:30. So we have to empty the mill, dismantle the steel panels, take up all the plants, put them in pots, and put a huge van ready to go home. It's sad, but hey, that's showgarden for you.
And it really is, because then, this is what you have to do. And I spoke to Jekka McVicker. She came to the Highgrove Festival as one of our speakers. I had lunch with Jekka after she'd done her very fun talk. And she was saying she can't be there. When they take it all down, she said, it's like rape and pillage, I can't be there. I can't bear it. She said, you take so long and you nurture these plants so long. And some of them she propagated and grown from seed to be in her Chelsea garden this year. So there is no way I can see it being taken down. However, I had to, because I had to help. So, all hands on deck into a big van. But luckily, most of them went home to my garden. And I'm still planting them a year on because I have no time. Sounds familiar for people in our profession. But I will have wonderful memories, cherished of this whole thing, and wonderful memories of the process in getting to that point. It was quite an extraordinary journey. I learned so much, and on the back of that, I got introduced to Highgrove. They were very impressed with the fact that I won a gold medal, and they trusted enough in me to make me creative director of their Highgrove Garden Festival, which Caroline was a part of, and they've heard her speak earlier. So we had to do a similar thing. We had to create planting displays for Highgrove in an early part of the year, even earlier than Malvern. So I was traipsing around Wyevale in February, dismaying, crying, trying to find things, hostas for example. But we managed to get there, and these are just a few images of the displays we did. We relied a lot on spring bulbs for colour. That time of year it was all about spring bulbs. But we had a superb time working closely with the team there, because it was important that we emulate what's grown in the garden at Highgrove. That's what people come to see when they visit the Royal Gardens. So we were interested to understand more about the garden, how they work there and what plants they employ. And indeed, the favourites of the Prince, which is a fascinating journey, and one that's changed, as it does with all of us, the more he's got into horticulture and the more he's grown. I was talking about his bedding plants earlier, I think, and on the terrace at Highgrove, just beautiful, lots of clipped topiary. It's quite an extraordinary place. There were some huge Greek pots filled with fuchsia pink bedding and yellow, which is a crazy combination that we'd all go, oh, let's spend a week there. And the more you walk back past this as you're working there, you start thinking, oh, I'm quite liking that clash, it's quite appealing. It's very interesting how all our tastes change. So I'm now Kate Garden Design, and very gainfully employed within the horticultural world, thanks for dipping my toe into the whole thing. But what I've become acutely aware of is you are only as good as your supplier. Likewise, you're only as good as your contractor. It really matters the team that you have behind you to help deliver what you want to present to the world. And in Highgrove's case, everything had to be spot on. We were being scrutinised to the very highest level, and I felt confident enough that Wyevale were able to deliver that beautiful product for us, and they understood that, again, it was another show garden situation, so things had to be spot on. So, raw stamp of approval, I would say, for Wyevale, and there you go. Thank you very much.